Hey, this is the C&G channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for Strikeforce Challengers 15 and Bellator 39. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank our sponsors, GoBusiness123.com and DeMarca Sunglasses Boutique in Laguna Beach. Please support your local mom and pop shops today. Okay, let's go start with Strikeforce Challengers 15, and then I'll go into Bellator. First off, Damian Douglas beat Wayne Phillips by split decision. There isn't too much to take away from this fight. There's still both are still works in progress type prospects. I'd say these guys should probably just stick around in the Strikeforce Challenger series for the time being. Not ready for the main card. They're not undercard guys. Damian Douglas, now that he won, isn't. And Wayne Phillips, he was fighting on the undercard for a while. So, but these guys should probably stick around just in the Challenger Series main card. Probably not the main event or anything yet. Next fight after that is James Terry beating Josh Thornburg by KO. Terry, if I'm not mistaken, he trains with Kung Lee, so it's really good to see him working his stand-up a lot. Thornburg is just a good guy to work on your stand-up because his stand-up defense isn't very good. He just could not get over the power right hands of Terry, and he lost his Thornburg lost his last fight against Roger Bowling. He took the fight on short notice, but even though he was the taller fighter, he just couldn't fight tall against Terry, who was just finding a home for those right hands, and eventually just managed to KO Thornburg. This is Terry's third Strikeforce Challengers win and his first time winning on a main card. I honestly think he's ready for a co-main or a main event slot in a Strikeforce Challengers. There really aren't too many co-mains. It's kind of just a main event thing. So I think he can put him in a main event slot, possibly, for another Challengers card. He's definitely earned it. This is emphatic KO victory for him. Speaking of emphatic, next fight is Lorenz Larkin versus winning by TKO against Scott Lighty. They just Strikeforce just found a diamond in the rough here in Lorenz Larkin. His striking very reminiscent of and the way he's dressed is reminiscent of Melvin Manouf. For sure, the guy went for this crazy jump kick, He seemed to tie around the second round, but man, the guy has huge power and just a really go forward, go for broke style. He showed some pretty good takedown defense too during the first or second round when Lighty was going for a single, and he stuffed it pretty well. So he got a good striker with some takedown defense here. You really found a diamond in the rough here, for sure. Definitely a very exciting fighter to watch. I think they fight at light heavy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know in this fight if they fight at heavy or not. I need to double check, but definitely someone to look at. Lorenz Larkin, really someone to look out for. Scott Lighty is and he's fighting K1 and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. He's a pretty good fighter, recognizable too. So this is a really good win for Larkin for first time in Strikeforce Challengers. Definitely should get another Challenger slot. With a style like that, man. Maybe you want to jump the gun with this guy and give him a main card slot in one of the bigger shows, even. Maybe. Just exciting styles like this. This Strikeforce is kind of known for doing that. So good win for Lorenz Larkin. next fight after that, Carlos Fedor, the future Fedor, beat David Tarzan Douglas by TKO. His main name knees. Fedor looked like the total package here. He looked like a really strong prospect in this fight. David Douglas, it's a setback, but he is still a prospect here. He kind of gassed early. He has a style of just kind of going for broke, but kind of wearing himself out too. Fedor, Matt Hume Project, AMC Print Creation. Good. He showed good striking, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. He showed that he was a really solid prospect here. He's won some fights by submission, and then this fight he won by TKO against a guy that obviously just wouldn't go down. The ref had to stop it while Tarzan was still standing. I'd like to see Fedor. This is his third win in Strikeforce Challengers. I think he's fought twice now in the main card. Main event slot in a Strikeforce Challengers, or possibly main card slot. Why did I say main? Yeah. Main event slot in a Strikeforce Challengers for this guy, or he should be on the main card of one of the bigger Strikeforce shows. I'd go for the former. I think Fedor should be fighting main event in like the next in a Strikeforce Challengers. Yeah, I think he deserves it now. Exciting fighter, young, definitely a prospect that Strikeforce can build. And the main event showed Justin Wilcox just winning by TKO stoppage over Rodrigo Gadam. This was just a bloody fight, man. Wilcox looked really good. This is his second main event on a Challengers card. He needs to move up. He is probably 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot against the winner of Melendez versus Kawajiri. He's got the tools. He's got the wrestling. He's got a good camp behind him in AKA, and his striking he's getting a little more comfortable with his striking. He's very strong too. This guy did he did bodybuilding. Short, stocky guy too. His takedown defense is good as well. He was smearing the canvas with Dam's blood. It was not always this was pretty violent, man. Good win by Wilcox. I think he should definitely be in the main card. He's going to be tough for anyone. When his contract goes up, I think this guy should go to the UFC as a prospect. He just looks pretty good. He's got the right people around him. He has a really good mentality. So yeah, I definitely see a good future for Wilcox. Okay, let's go with Bellator 39 now. Biggest takeaway here that I got: Eddie Alvarez needs to go to the UFC. This guy is just way too good to be not fighting under the Zuffa banner. His boxing looked good. He went for a lot of wild punches. I think the commentators kind of overestimated him just a bit. His movement's great though, but he did leave himself open for some of the punches that he went for. He went for the body a lot of times, which is really good. So I'm not saying his boxing is like bad or anything. I thought it was good. And by MMA standards, it's very good. By boxing standards, it's not what the commentators made it out to be. But by MMA standards, it's way up there. But let's go start with the Ben Saunders versus Mattli fight. Pretty one-sided thrashing here, actually. Ben Saunders. This is why I think the UFC should have a feeder league. He's too good to be fighting Mattli. I said this in a Shark Fights before about Danilo Villafort. I was like, wow, when he fought Matt Horwick, I was like, why is Danilo here? His skill level is obviously UFC level, but I don't know why he's not in the UFC. You know, they need a feeder league to give these guys who are obviously very good, but just didn't make it for the UFC. You know, like the big show. You know, that's why I think the UFC really should have a feeder league, because Ben Saunders is definitely too good. You know, I mean, like, if he goes in the Bellator tournament, though, that'll be very interesting. But as far as fighting like Mattli, I mean, he's just too good for that. You know, but I think he'd have some very interesting fights if he fought someone like Dan Hornbuckle, for example. I thought that'd be pretty cool. He'd be very interesting in like the 170, welterweight tournament. The only thing is there's a lot of wrestlers. So Jay Haran's going to test his wrestling. Rick Hahn's going to test his wrestling as well. But a good one for Saunders. Good heart by Lee, but Saunders was just, it was just an overmatched opponent there. Okay, next fight on the card was Toby Amada versus Patricky Freire. I actually missed this prediction on my predictions. Freire, good win by him. The Pitbull brothers are definitely making a name for themselves in Bellator, through Bellator. And Toby Amada, the guy just cannot get the brass ring. I hate to say it. He gets like almost there. He gets somewhat far, but not far enough. I love Toby Amada. His submissions are crazy. I mean, not just the inverted triangle, but the way he sets up arm bars sometimes. I mean, he's really good. But Patricky, way better stand-up. Under the Nogueira tutelage, you gotta think that these guys' ground games, Patricky's especially, is gonna be really good. The next fight, or the other side of the brackets is Mike Chandler's fighting. I think he's going to win his fight, actually. And if you get Chandler versus Freire, you're going to see how Freire does against a high-level wrestler. I would like to see Freire versus Alvarez. However, I think that he's going to go forward a lot more than Curran does, who's more defensive and counterpunching. I think the movement, is going to be of Alvarez would be a big factor if the two should ever fight. But of course, Chandler can easily win it too. I mean, high level wrestler, looking really good too. He can easily beat him versus Freire. If Chandler should win his next fight, it'd be a very interesting matchup. I expect big things from Freire. That guy. He's really young. Already got really good striking. I'm sure his other skills are up to par as well. Next fight after that is Lyman Good versus Rick Hahn. Rick Hahn won it by split decision. The thing is, with Good, when he gets taken down, he is so content with staying on his back. And I don't know if he's waiting for the ref to stand him up or if he's content to strike from the bottom. But man, this guy needs to learn how to get off from his feet. He had the same problem against Ben Askren. It was a good fight, it was an alright fight, actually. It wasn't the most pleasing to watch. I think too many times both the fighters just kind of respected each other's skills a little too much. It wasn't, it had a lot of lulls in there. Rick Hahn, good for him. I think that he's probably going to go up against Jay Haran, as Haran's going to fight Brent Weidman, and I think Jay Haran's going to win that, giving a fight between Hahn and Haran. So it'll be a really interesting fight because I think Haran has a better stand-up, and I gotta wonder if he can take down Han, and vice versa, if Han can take down Curran as well. So I think, while this fight isn't the most interesting, I do find the next fight, even if it's Weidman versus Han, I do find whoever Han fights next in the tournament will be a very interesting fight. And final, the main event was Pat Curran versus Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez pretty much outclassed Pat Curran. Pat Curran hung in there, but he moved back way too much. He was on the defensive too much and willing to counterpunch a moving target way too much. Alvarez also mixed in some wrestling in there and mixed in takedowns. Great takedown defense by Curran. Great ability to get back to his feet also. However, he just did not have an answer for Alvarez, who I felt at times was just playing with Curran, to be honest. Like I said, I think Alvarez is just way too good to be fighting in Bellator, honestly. As good as the fights would be, Ferrari versus Patricky versus Alvarez would be pretty neat. I don't think Chandler versus Alvarez would be that great. Just on a stylistic level, I think Alvarez definitely has the wrestling to do, to really, and better stand up to really make it a little over, it's just stylistically, I don't think it would work that well, but I think Ferrari versus Alvarez, just from a stand-up point of view, would be a lot more interesting, personally. Alvarez, like I said, really good movement for MMA. He has really good boxing. He actually has really good leg kicks, as shown in the Roger Huerta fight. Despite missing, not being able to get a lot of the takedowns, Alvarez actually has a really good wrestling game, and he has a really good jiu-jitsu game as well. He's a whole package, and that's why I want to see him under the Zuffa banner. However, I hear he makes really good money outside of Zuffa, and that he's actually been offered contracts by the UFC. It's just, he does, from what I heard, he does really well. He seems really content too. I remember in MMA Live, he seems really content not fighting under the Zuffa banner as well. So it's kind of unfortunate because the pull to not fight in Zuffa, like the talent outside of Zuffa, is less and less as, especially since they just picked up Strikeforce, the pool is just a lot smaller for him to fight, to have challenging matches. Aoki and Kawajiri are still out there, obviously, but there's some guys in Bellator that could provide a challenge for him. If Curran's any indication, or Huerta or Neer or any of his past opponents are any indication, there aren't many good challenges for him outside of Zuffa these days. That's unfortunate. I really like watching this guy fight. You don't get to watch this guy fight too much too, so that's a thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my post-fight analysis for Strikeforce Challengers 15 and Bellator 39. I'd like to thank our sponsors, GoBusiness123.com and DeMarcus Sunglasses of Laguna Beach. And yeah, this is it for MMA for you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.